Your screen will go dark in 20 seconds. Put on your headphones, close your eyes, and immerse yourself in the story. The kiss started slow, deep, emotional, but quickly turned into something hotter, more intense, more alive. Elena wrapped her legs around his hips, bringing their bodies closer in the exact rhythm. The kiss grew more urgent. Noah let out a low moan, rough and honest, born from everything he was feeling: pain, desire, relief, budding love. They stayed like that for long minutes, between kisses and slow, steady, implied touches, letting warmth replace the cold and the fear. When they finally stopped, breathless, Elena rested her head on his chest. Noah wrapped her completely in his arms, as if he wanted to protect what had just been born between them. "You're shaking," she murmured. "Because I don't know what this is that you do to me," Noah replied. Elena smiled, caressing his chest. "Then let's find out together." Noah hugged her even tighter. "I'm not going to lose you," he whispered. "I don't want to lose you either," she answered. Outside, the wind kept roaring. But in there, two broken souls were beginning to be rebuilt by each other. The storm roared outside as if trying to reach them even inside the cave. The wind whistled, pushing snow against the rocks, and the light that came through the entrance began to fade little by little. Noah noticed first. He tilted his head slightly toward the opening, eyes narrowing, his body still warming Elena in his lap. "It's getting stronger," he said. "Way too strong." Elena lifted her face from his chest, her heart speeding up. "What does that mean?" Noah took a deep breath before answering, his hand absently stroking her arm. "It means that we might get trapped in here if the snow closes the entrance." Elena's breath caught. "Trapped? For how long?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "Maybe hours. Maybe days." She blinked slowly, absorbing the idea, then rested her forehead on his shoulder again, seeking once more the warmth and comfort only he could give her in that moment. "At least I'm trapped with you," she murmured, and Noah's heart responded with a painful lurch. He held her even tighter. With each gust of wind, the entrance grew wider. Snow piled up, first along the edges, then higher, forming a slow, inevitable barrier. The temperature inside the cave dropped noticeably. Elena shivered, not just from the cold, but from the feeling of being closed in. Noah noticed everything. He pulled the blanket higher, wrapping it completely around them both, then kept her hugged tightly to his chest. "Hey," he said, his voice low, warm. "Breathe with me." She lifted her eyes, meeting those dark eyes that now seemed to see right through her. "I'm here," Noah went on, "and I'm staying here. The mountain is not going to take you from me." Elena exhaled slowly, her body gradually relaxing in his arms. Her head slid back to his shoulder and Noah ran his fingers through her hair, a slow, delicate gesture, almost too protective for a man who claimed he was afraid of hurting someone. "You calm me," she admitted. "You save me," he replied. The words hung for a moment in the cold air of the cave. Then Elena leaned closer and pressed her lips to his neck in a soft, warm, brief kiss. Noah let out a low, rough, involuntary sound. Elena smiled discreetly against his skin. "Does that bother you?" she asked. "No," he answered, his breath faltering. "It just drives me crazy." "Crazy in a bad way?" "Crazy in a way that makes me forget to breathe." She smiled, a small smile but full of light. And without warning, she slid her hand along his side, up over his ribs, and up to his neck. Noah held his breath. His body reacted before his mind did. And Elena felt it all. The temperature in the cave dropped a bit more. The wind came in through tiny cracks, icy, cutting. "Noah," Elena called, her voice trembling. "I'm cold." He immediately loosened the blanket, adjusting it better, then pulled her down to lie at his side, but so close their bodies still touched, thigh to thigh, chest to back, breath to breath. He wrapped his arm around her waist, drawing her in until his warmth surrounded her completely. "Like this," he said, his mouth very close to her ear. "It's better like this." Elena felt his warmth climb up her spine. She turned her face slightly, just enough to see him in profile, so close her nose almost brushed his beard. "Do you have any idea what you make me feel when you touch me like that?" she whispered. Noah stayed silent for a few seconds, his chest rising and falling faster. Then he brought his lips close enough to brush her cheek. "I do. Because you make me feel exactly the same," she sighed, tilting her face. And Noah finally slid his hand down her arm until their fingers laced together. They lay like that, breathing together for long seconds, hearing only the sound of the storm and each other's heart. "Noah," Elena called. "Tell me the truth. Are you afraid of me?" He turned his face to her, his dark eyes shining in the dim light. "I am," he admitted. "Because you make my heart move in a place I thought was dead." She pulled his chin closer. "I'm afraid of you too," she murmured. "Because you make me feel like I'm alive again." Noah touched her face with his fingertips, tracing the contour of her cheek, then down along her jaw. "You are alive, beautiful, strong, brave, and I want you, more than I should." Elena moved closer until their lips brushed. "Then stop trying to push me away, Noah." He closed his eyes, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling her body pressed against his. "I can't anymore," he whispered, and his mouth found hers. A slow kiss at first, then deeper, warmer, more urgent than the cold air around them. Elena lost her breath. Noah held her nape, pulling her face closer. Their bodies pressed more tightly together, and the kiss turned into something that mixed fear, surrender, desire, and promise. When they finally parted, their breathing was uneven. "Noah," she murmured. "Hold me." He didn't hesitate, his body wrapped completely around hers, his arms enclosing her, his legs adjusting to hers, his chin resting on the top of her head. It was a tight embrace, deep, from a man who was afraid of losing, and from a woman who was afraid of being lost. And for the first time since they met, neither of them fought what they felt. The silence was broken by a dull, heavy sound. They both flinched. Noah quickly sat up, pulling Elena with him. The entrance was now completely white. "It's blocked," he said, his voice low. "We're trapped?" Elena asked, gripping his arm. He studied the opening for a few seconds. "Not completely yet, but if it keeps going like this, yes." Elena took a deep breath, trying not to panic, and Noah held her face in both hands, making her look at him. "I won't let anything happen to you," he said firmly. "I promise." She rested her face in his hands. "I believe you." And there, trapped by the storm, Noah kissed her again. A warm, gentle, full of feeling kiss, as if he were trying to anchor her to the world. Because now, more than ever, they only had each other. The snow kept piling up at the entrance of the cave, slow but constant, like white fingers pushing from the outside. The silence began to grow thick, muffled, as if sound itself were trapped in there with them. Elena moved closer to the opening, but Noah gently pulled her back by the arm, stopping her. "Careful," he said. "The snow could collapse all at once, and if it falls on you..." She swallowed hard. "I don't want to scare you anymore," she murmured. Noah didn't answer with words. He just pulled her closer and rested his forehead against hers. The touch was soft, yet full of something much deeper. "You only scare me because he began, then stopped, breathing shallowly. "Because I don't want to lose you in any way." Elena felt her heart tighten. She held his face in both hands, forcing Noah to keep his gaze locked on hers. You're not going to lose me." The words were simple, but the way she said them, steady, gentle, true, made Noah believe. Time passed, half an hour maybe, or less. The cold inside the cave began to change in quality. It was sharper now, deeper, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. Elena started shaking uncontrollably. Noah noticed before she even tried to hide it. "Elena, come here," he said, quickly pulling her toward the deeper part of the cave where the wind seeped in less. But it wasn't enough. She kept shaking nonstop. He knelt in front of her, touching her hands, then her waist. "You're freezing," he murmured, his voice full of genuine concern. "We need to warm you up fast." Elena tried to smile, but what came out was a trembling of her lips. I'm fine." "You're not," Noah cut in, serious. "Elena, look at me." She lifted her eyes. His face was so close that his warm breath brushed her mouth. "I can't lose you. Not here. Not like this." The cold made her shake, but his words made her melt. Noah wrapped the blanket around her, but quickly realized that alone wouldn't be enough. The fabric was too cold. Their clothes, too, damp, heavy, unable to keep real warmth. Noah took a deep breath, wrestling with his own embarrassment, his own hesitation. But when he looked at Elena, pale, trembling, fighting to keep her eyes open, he didn't hesitate anymore. "We need to share real heat, skin to skin. It's the only way." Elena blinked slowly. "I trust you," she murmured, and the way she said it made Noah feel the ground vanish beneath him. He nodded once, then started to pull off his wet shirt. The cold air hit his warm skin, and he held back a gasp. Elena watched every movement, not with shame, but with a mix of vulnerability and quiet admiration. "Elena," Noah said, moving closer, "we need to take off your top too. Not everything. Just enough so the dampness doesn't keep cooling you down." She touched his wrist, her small hand icy. "Noah, I promise. I'm not afraid." His gaze softened so much it looked like it might break him. With extreme care, Noah helped Elena remove the wet upper layers of her clothing, leaving only the driest, thinnest one against her skin. Then he pulled the thick blanket over both of them, while guiding her into his chest. Elena fit against his body with a frightening naturalness. His warm skin met her cold skin, and a wave of heat rippled through both of them. She gasped. Noah bit his lip, holding back a sound that almost escaped. "Better?" he whispered. "Much." She slid her hand slowly across his chest until she rested it over his heart, which was beating fast. "Noah, you're shaking too." "It's not just the cold," he confessed, voice rough. Elena rested her head on his shoulder, her cheek touching his warm skin. His scent, warm, masculine, protective, wrapped around her. Noah held her by the waist, his fingers pressing into her through the thin fabric. "You scare me," he murmured suddenly, his mouth far too close to her ear. "Why?" she asked, tilting her face toward his. "Because I thought I wasn't capable of feeling anything like this. Not after her." "Noah." She touched his face, her fingers sliding along his damp beard. "I'm afraid to open my heart again," he went on with raw honesty. "Afraid it'll happen again. Afraid I'll fail." Elena pulled back just enough to look him in the eyes. "You're not failing with me." "And you?" Noah asked, his voice low. "What do you feel when you look at me like that?" Elena let the silence answer first, then spoke, her voice loaded with truth. "I feel like my life stopped the day I lost my husband. But when I look at you, it's like someone hit play again." Noah's eyes closed for a moment as if that sentence had pierced something he'd been hiding for a long time. He held her face in both hands and kissed her. It was different from the others. Slower, more emotional. deeper. A kiss that said, "I'm here. I'm coming back to life. For you?" Elena answered by holding his face, then moving her hands down to his chest, squeezing gently as if she wanted to stay there forever. The kiss grew more intense. Their bodies moved closer. The heat between them increased. Noah's breathing grew heavy. Elena slid her hand along his nape and felt his body tremble under her touch. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless. "Noah," she murmured. "You don't have to be afraid of me." He rested his forehead against hers. "I'm afraid of loving you." The confession exploded in the air between them. Elena took a deep breath. "Then love me, even if you're afraid." "You don't understand." "I do," she cut in, firm. "Because I'm afraid too. But still, I want you." Noah's chest rose in a deep, almost painful sigh. He pulled Elena into his chest again, holding her tightly, and she hugged him back, completely. They stayed like that, wrapped in each other's arms, for long minutes. The cave grew darker. The snow barrier thickened. The entrance was now almost completely closed. Elena lifted her face. "Noah, and if we really get trapped?" He didn't hesitate. "Then I get trapped with you." She gave a small, emotional smile. "You say that like it doesn't scare you." "It scares me a lot. And even so, I'd still choose this," he said, pulling her back to his chest. "I'd choose you." Elena closed her eyes and hugged Noah as if the world were collapsing outside, because it was. But inside, in his warmth, she finally felt alive. And for the first time since the storm began, she believed that maybe, just maybe, the two of them were going to make it, together. Time inside the cave stopped existing. The situation had slowly, relentlessly changed. The faint light that slipped through the entrance dimmed with each passing minute, until it was nothing more than a thin shadow, almost a farewell. Elena noticed first. "Noah, look." He loosened his embrace, raised his head, and his eyes fixed on the opening that was now nothing more than a white crack. They were officially surrounded by snow. Noah slowly stood up, still keeping Elena close, as if the storm were an animal ready to attack them from inside the rock itself. The entrance closed. Completely. Without warning. Without any sound besides the final weight of the snow settling. A deep silence took over the cave. A cold silence, heavy. Elena took a deep breath. But Noah, something in him changed. His chest went rigid, his breath shorter, his gaze locked on the white wall ahead. "Noah?" she said, touching his arm. He didn't answer. His hand pressed hard against his own chest, as if he couldn't get any air. Elena took a step closer. "Noah, look at me." But he didn't. He'd always been the strong one. Always held everything together. Always put himself in front of the wind, the snow, the risks. But there, locked in a closed space with no way out, afraid of losing someone again, he fell apart. Noah choked. "Elena, I can't be trapped. I can't lose you here. If something happens." He brought his hand to his face, trying to breathe, but the air didn't seem to reach him. Elena ran to him. "Noah, hey." She grabbed his face with enough strength to force his focus. "Look at me. Just at me." His eyes were frantic, lost, full of an almost childlike fear. A fear Elena had never seen in that man who seemed made of stone. "I can't," he murmured, his voice breaking. "I failed once. I failed her. I can't fail you too." "Noah," she whispered, pressing her face to his. "You're not failing. You're scared, and that's human. What if we don't get out? We will. And if you... I'm here. Elena, I'm here." And then Elena did something he didn't expect. She hugged him. Tightly. Hard. Without fear. She wrapped him with her whole body, pulling him against her, holding his nape, stroking his hair, bringing him back to the world. To reality. Noah's arms took a few seconds to respond, but when they did, he hugged her as if he were drowning and she were the only piece of wood floating on the surface. His chest rose and fell fast. His forehead pressed to her shoulder. His fingers clutched at the thin fabric on her back. For the first time since they'd met, Noah was truly vulnerable. And Elena had never felt so strong. They stayed like that for long minutes. No words. No need for explanations. Just two broken people finding room to breathe in each other. When Noah finally lifted his face, still out of breath, his eyes were wet, but not with fear. With relief. "I'm sorry," he murmured, wiping a hand over his face. "I didn't want you to see me like this." Elena touched his chin and forced him to look at her. "I want to see you as you really are, even when it hurts." He blinked. His chest rose in a sigh that was almost a sob. "Elena, Noah began, but his voice failed. "I'm with you," she answered, almost whispering. "Let me carry a bit of your weight." He held her face in both hands. "You have no idea how much I need that." And he kissed her. This time there was no urgency, no desperation, no raw fire of survival. It was a kiss full of surrender, full of wanting, full of tenderness. A kiss that felt like it sealed something invisible between them, something neither had the courage to name. But that was already there. Elena slid her hands across his shoulders, then down his back, pulling him closer. Noah answered by pulling her waist in, settling her in his lap as if she were the only thing holding him together. Their lips moved slowly, as if saying everything words failed to. When they parted, their foreheads stayed pressed together. "Better now?" Elena asked, caressing his face. "Now I am," he replied, holding her hands. "I just need you close." She smiled. "I'm not going anywhere." The temperature dropped even more. It was impossible to ignore. The air was razor sharp, and the dampness in their clothes, even in the driest layers, was a silent enemy. Elena curled up instinctively. Noah noticed immediately. "Come here," he said, pulling the blanket and settling down on the ground with her. They lay down together, but unlike before, Noah didn't hesitate to bring her fully into his arms. His body wrapped around hers, his chest pressed to her back, their legs fitted together, a human shell made of warmth and protection. He kissed her shoulder, soft and warm. "I'm here," he murmured. Elena held the hand he had resting on her waist. "And I'm with you." The intimacy wasn't in bare skin. It was in the calm, in the breathing rhythms sinking again, in the safe silence that only exists when two people truly find each other. They stayed lying like that, the warmth slowly growing between their bodies, replacing the cold of the cave. Noah caressed Elena's forearm in slow movements. She traced her thumb over his fingers, sketching tenderness in the dark. "Noah," she called softly. "Your fears won't push me away." "Yours won't either," and he replied. "We stay. Together." Elena closed her eyes, and for the first time since the storm began, she truly slept. Noah stayed awake for several minutes, holding her in his arms, listening to her soft breathing, feeling her body pressed so close to his it seemed a part of him. He kissed the top of her head slowly, with a gentleness he didn't even know he still had. "I'm not going to lose you," he murmured into the dark. "Not even if I have to face the whole mountain." And finally, Noah also closed his eyes. The two of them, trapped in the snow, but free in each other. The darkness inside the cave felt heavier when Elena opened her eyes. It took her a few seconds to understand where she was. Noah slept behind her, his body pressed against hers like a shield. His arm was firmly wrapped around her waist as if unconsciously refusing to let her go. But the air was strange, denser, heavier, hard to pull into her lungs. Elena frowned, trying to breathe deeper, but the breath came weak, short. She tried again. Nothing. And then fear slipped in for the first time. Noah. Her voice came out fragile, thin. Noah woke instantly, as if yanked from sleep by instinct. His body went rigid behind her. Elena. What is it? She turned within his embrace, her face centimeters from his, and when she tried to breathe again, the air failed her once more. I can't, she murmured, her hand pressing against her chest. Noah's expression changed in the same instant. He felt it. The air was thin. The snow had completely blocked the entrance, and now it was blocking the renewal of the air as well. Elena. Noah held her face, bringing his forehead to hers. Look at me. Breathe with me. Slowly. Slowly. She tried, but the air was so thin it felt like it didn't exist. Panic started to climb, hot, sharp, running up her body like fire. Noah. I'm... Her voice shook. I'm suffocating. Noah's chest tightened as if someone had punched him. He could not let her collapse there. Not Elena. Not her. He pulled her into his lap, sitting with her clinging to his body as if he were trying to share his lungs with her. Hey, look at me, he said, placing his hand at the back of her neck. I'm here. You're not alone. Breathe with me. Try to follow me. Elena tried to inhale. She only managed half. Her body shook. Noah. I don't want to die here. The words destroyed something in him. A piece he thought he had numbed forever. He put his hand over her chest, feeling her breathing lose its rhythm. You're not going to die, he said, with a firmness that trembled at the edges. Do you hear me? I won't let that happen. Elena gripped his jacket hard, as if holding on to him for dear life. I'm scared. Noah brought his mouth close to her ear, his warm breath sliding over her skin. Then let me be your air. Hold on to me. He hugged her so tightly it seemed he wanted to fuse her into his own body. His warmth wrapped around every part of her. His scent, warm and familiar, cut through the feeling of suffocation. Elena's hand climbed, trembling, to his face. Noah, don't leave me. He held her hand tightly, lifting it to his lips and kissing her fingers one by one, slowly, as if trying to calm her through touch. I'll never leave you, he said, his voice unexpectedly vulnerable. Never. Elena's panic was a silent storm. But Noah knew how to handle storms. He pulled her face into his chest, and she hid against him, breathing in his warm scent, his skin, anything that could anchor her. Feel this? He asked, placing her hand over his chest. My heart. It's here. Steady. It beats for you now. Match it, Elena. Just follow it. She tried, and slowly, her breathing began to follow the rhythm of his heart. Slow. Steady. Warm. Noah stroked her back in long, continuous, almost hypnotic motions. That's it. There you go, my love. The word slipped out of him. My love. And Noah felt it the second it left his mouth. He froze for an instant. Elena noticed too, and closed her eyes. But she didn't pull away, didn't question it. She simply surrendered to that warmth. His tight embrace, his firm chest against hers, the heat rising between their bodies, all of it slowly brought her air back. You're so strong, Elena, Noah murmured, and the whisper vibrated in his chest. So much stronger than you think. She slowly lifted her face, her eyes shining in the dim light. I'm only strong because you're with me. Noah gently held her jaw, his thumb caressing her cold skin. Then don't let go. Stay with me, until I get you out of here. I'll stay, Elena whispered, bringing her face closer. I'll stay as long as you want me. His breath faltered. and he kissed her. The kiss began as rescue, slow, gentle, heavy with worry. But as Elena regained her breath, as Noah felt life return to her body, the kiss changed. She slid her hands along his nape. He pulled her by the waist until she was in his lap. The heat between them grew, pushing away the cold, pushing away the fear. It was a long kiss, deep, one of those that say, "I need you," with a full mouth. Noah's hand slid up Elena's back, under the blanket, finding her warm skin beneath the dry fabric. She moaned softly, a small sound that made his whole body shiver. "Noah," she murmured against his lips. "You're all I have now." He rested his forehead against hers. "I'm yours. Here. Now. And when we get out of here too." The words were too warm, too sincere. Elena held his face in both hands. "Then don't leave me alone. Not for a single second." Noah smiled like someone who finally understands his purpose. "Not for a single second." And he hugged her again, shielding her body as if he could stop the entire world from touching her. Noah raised his eyes to the blocked entrance. He frowned. "The air won't last much longer," he said seriously. Elena swallowed. "How long?" He took a deep breath. "An hour or two, if we stay still." Elena sat up straight, her hand still gripping his. "Noah, what are we going to do?" He was already assessing the rocks, the accumulated snow, the cracks. "We can't dig from the inside out," he explained. "It's too heavy and dangerous, but—" Elena waited, her heart racing. "But I think I found an alternative way out," Noah said, pointing to a narrow fissure in the far corner of the cave. A crack, almost invisible, but real. "It's risky," he went on. "It could be just a short hole, or it could lead to another tunnel." Elena stepped closer to him, her face serious. "I trust you. If you say it's that way, then that's the way I'll go." Noah's eyes softened. "Then we go together," he murmured, holding her face. She pressed her mouth to his in a quick kiss, but full of promise. Always together. Noah stood up, helping Elena to her feet. She was still weak, but steady. He slipped his arm around her waist to support her. "I'll go first," Noah said. "But don't let go of my hand." Elena met his gaze with conviction. "I won't. Not ever again." And then they walked toward the fissure. Together. Without knowing that there, on the other side of the rock, the biggest twist of their story was waiting. The narrow fissure at the back of the cave looked more like a scar in the stone than a path. It was so tight that barely one body could pass at a time. The light was almost non-existent. The air, even thinner. Noah approached it, still holding Elena's hand. The rock was cold, damp, and the sound of the wind didn't reach inside, which only made the silence more frightening. "This is the only way," Noah said, examining the opening. "But it's narrow, very narrow." Elena took a deep breath. Her hand trembled in his, not from the cold, but from the idea of entering such a small space. "You'll go first?" she asked. "Yes," Noah answered, turning to her. "But I'll talk to you the whole time. You'll never be alone in there. Do you hear me?" She nodded and stepped closer, placing both hands on his face. "I trust you," she murmured. Noah closed his eyes for a moment, breathed against her palm, and then turned toward the fissure. He went in first, forcing his shoulders through the narrow gap. The sound of his jacket scraping the rock echoed through the tunnel. "Elena?" he called. "I'm here. Give me your hand." She reached out, and he grabbed it firmly. Then Elena moved forward. The tunnel was so tight she had to turn sideways. The cold rock pressed against her back, her chest, her arms. Her breathing quickened at once. "Noah, it's really tight," she murmured, her voice almost childlike. His hand squeezed hers. "I'm here. I'm not going to let you go. I know, she answered, trying to breathe slowly. But I don't like places like this. Her voice began to tremble. Noah, still ahead, squeezed her hand tighter. Look at me, he said, even without being able to see her. Picture me holding you, just like that night in the cabin. Remember? Elena closed her eyes. She remembered. She could almost smell his skin when she thought of it. And that calmed her. Keep talking, she asked. All right, Noah said, taking a deep breath. I love you. The sentence came out abruptly, raw, defenseless. Elena froze, literally, there, in the dark stone. Noah. I know, he murmured. I should have waited, but you need to hear this now. I love you, Elena, and I swear on my life, that I'm going to get you out of here. She took a deep breath, and the fissure stopped feeling like a prison. It became a corridor leading to him. I love you too, Elena said, and her voice filled the entire rock. Noah let out a breath that seemed to release years of weight. Then come. I'm here. Come to me. She moved faster now, determined. But the tunnel suddenly narrowed. The rock gave way a little above, a small collapse of stones and snow. Elena screamed. Her hand slipped out of Noah's. Elena! Noah roared, with a strength he didn't know he had. Elena tried to move forward, but a rock caught the side of her coat. She pulled herself, but the more she tried, the more the panic grew. Noah, I'm stuck. He twisted around in the tunnel, almost unable to move, scraping his shoulders, back, and chest against the rock. Elena, give me your hand, now. She stretched out her arm as far as she could. Her trembling fingers searched for his in the dark. I can't reach, she cried, her breathing going short again. Elena. Noah fought the rock as if he could tear it down by screaming at it. You're coming to me, even if I have to break everything in here. He reached out farther and farther. Their fingers almost touched. Noah, I'm scared. I know, but look at me, he insisted, even without seeing her. Find me. That's it. Just find me. She pulled her body hard. The rock tore a chunk of her clothing but gave way, and her fingers finally touched his. Got you, Noah murmured, his voice low, shaking, thick with emotion. I've got you. I'll never let go again. He pulled Elena forward, and she slid through the tightest part of the tunnel until she practically fell against his chest. They stayed there, breathing fast, foreheads pressed together, trying to catch their breath. I thought... She tried to speak, but her voice failed. I thought I was going to lose you. Noah held her face in both hands, the intensity of his gaze burning even in the darkness. Never, he said. You hear me? Never. And he kissed her. That kiss there in the middle of the rock in the dark with their hearts still racing like crazy was different. It was visceral. It was pure love in its rawest form. When they parted, Noah rested his forehead against hers. The exit is just ahead, he said, his voice still hoarse. Just a few more meters. Elena gripped his hand tightly. Then let's go together, she murmured. Until the end. Noah smiled. Until the end. The two of them moved forward, together, toward what would be the final stretch before the ending. And on the other side of that narrow tunnel, something was waiting for them. Something that would change everything. The tunnel opened suddenly. After minutes dragging their bodies between stone and darkness, a bluish glow appeared ahead. Noah squeezed Elena's hand. This is it, he said, his breath quickening. We're almost there. Elena answered with a strong squeeze of his hand. When they finally passed through the narrow exit, the white light of the storm reflected on the snow blinded them for an instant. But it was light. It was air. It was life. They came out onto a side slope of the mountain, a part less battered by the wind, sheltered by a rock wall. The cold air hit their faces like a blessing. Elena took a deep breath And this time, the air went in, full, complete. She laughed and cried at the same time. "Noah, we did it. We did it," he repeated, pulling her into a tight hug. His body was trembling. Not from fear, not from cold, but from the impact of having truly survived. Helena hugged him so tightly she could feel the muscles in his back shaking under her arms. "I thought I'd never get out of there," she confessed, hiding her face in his neck. "And I thought I would go insane if you didn't," he replied, his hand covering her nape. "I would have clawed through that mountain barehanded if I had to." She smiled against his skin. And then the twist happened. When they pulled apart, Noah looked at the ground ahead, and something changed in his eyes. "Elena," he said, his voice strangely low. "Wait." She turned to where he was looking, and there, just a few meters away, partially covered in snow and broken branches, was a wooden cross, simple, old, marked by time. Elena raised a hand to her mouth. "Noah, is that—" He walked slowly to the cross. Each step seemed to weigh 100 kilos. Elena stopped right beside him. He knelt in the snow. His fingers touched the old wood, and Elena noticed his breathing turn shaky. "This is it," Noah whispered. "This is where I lost her." Elena felt her heart sink. The exact place, the site of his guilt, the mountain, the ground that had witnessed his pain. "Noah," she murmured, kneeling beside him. He touched the cross with reverence, but without tears. It wasn't pain. It was farewell. "I thought that if I ever came back here, I'd fall apart," he said. "But I'm not alone this time." Elena took his hand. "You have me." He turned his face to her. His eyes were different, strong, clear, resolved. "Elena," he began, his voice low and deep, "I never thought I'd be able to love again. Never. I buried that feeling here. On that day." She squeezed his hand, her chest tight. Noah leaned in and rested his forehead against hers. "But you brought me back. You gave me my life again. And now," he looked back at the cross, "I think I can let her go." Elena felt the tears fall. Silently, she held his face in her hands. "She would be proud of you, Noah." He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, as if those words finally filled something inside him. And then, he stood and held out his hand to Elena. "Shall we? Let's go." The walk along the slope was slow but sure. The wind eased as they descended and the snow began to thin. Noah walked ahead, holding Elena's hand as if he were afraid to let go, but wearing a light smile she had never seen on him before. When they reached a line of lower trees, Elena stopped. Noah turned immediately. "What is it?" She took a moment before speaking. When she did, her voice came out soft, but strong. "I didn't think there would be an after, not for me, not after what happened to my husband." Noah took one step toward her, then another, and stopped right in front of her. "Elena," he said, cupping her face with his warm hands, "you're not replacing anyone. You are you. And I love you, exactly as you are." She bit her lip, tears falling. "I'm scared." "Me too," he admitted. "But I want to face that with you. The fear, the pain, the whole life, if you'll have me." Elena took a deep breath, and then she smiled, a small smile, but true. Her first real smile since the night everything in her life had broken. "I want that," she murmured, her chest light. Noah smiled too, a rare smile that lit up his face like nothing else had on that mountain. He took her by the waist. She wrapped her arms around his neck, and they kissed. A long kiss, deep, steady, not born of survival, but of future. The storm finally began to settle behind them. Noah pulled Elena by the hand as they walked along the trail leading off the mountain. The snow crunched beneath their boots, the air was cold, but there was light in the sky. Elena looked at him, hair tangled, face marked by snow, but with a soft smile that melted her from the inside out. Noah. She moved closer, walking right beside him. Thank you for saving me. You saved me first, he replied, squeezing her hand. And so, hand in hand, their footsteps marking the snow and left behind. They walked together toward the dawn, no longer strangers, no longer lost, but two hearts reborn in the middle of the storm, and when the sun finally broke over the horizon, they became what they were always meant to be: survivors, lovers, a future the mountain couldn't destroy. The end.